Hi there, folks. It's just me, your friendly neighborhood Walter Shepherd. This is Chrome. Say hi, Chrome. He's kind of he's my nephew's cat. My nephew moved in upstairs with my brother in our family house, and Chrome comes to visit every once in a while. He's one of those big long-haired cats. He's purring right now. Anyway, this is another, just a casual conversation, just a casual rant. And it's in response to a request from Rachel talking about the lukewarm and the backsliders. In my opinion, and again, this is just my opinion, and it's based on that verse in Revelation that Jesus was talking about when he was talking to the churches. If you remember, Jesus said that I would rather you be cold or hot, because if you're lukewarm, you're going to be spit out. And as far as I can determine, the backsliders, they fit into the cold category, and there are two kinds. His hair's flying all over the place, and there are two kinds of backsliders. There are those that okay, to start off with, they are the Christians, and they said the sinner's prayer, and there's a good chance that their names are written in the Lamb's Book of Life. But for whatever reason, they left the church, they don't read the Bible, they don't pray, they don't do anything Christian, they went back into the world. That's why they're backsliders. So there are two kinds of backsliders in that category. There are those that have totally rejected God, they reject the Bible, they reject salvation or whatever, in which case, when they said the sinner's prayer, their names were not put in the Lamb's Book of Life. And then there are those other kinds of backsliders who are really weak in their faith. They're either low in self-confidence, or they just or they just they're lazy in their desire to read the Bible, or to get to know the Lord, or to go to church, or to be around Christians. So there's a good chance, and I'm not saying this as an absolute, there's a good chance that some of those backsliders are considered cold, in which case their names are in the Lamb's Book of Life, or those backsliders could be put into the other flock. I believe when Jesus said he would prefer his servants to be either cold or hot, when a believer is cold, I believe they are put in the other category, because the Lord knows their heart, and so even though they are not part of the main flock, they're not part of the body of Christ, they're not part of the bride of Christ, their hearts are still good. They are still good people on the inside. So the Lord will put them in the other flock, in which case on the day of the rapture, there's a good chance that they could be taken up, or they could be left behind, in which case during that time they will get their relationship with the Lord in order. They will get serious, and they know they will have to become a martyr in order to get to heaven. So those are the backsliders. They fit in two categories. Either they completely rejected the Lord, or they're still with the Lord, but they're lazy in their relationship and getting to know Him better. But again, that's just my opinion. I'm not saying that's the way the Lord works it. I'm not saying that's the way the Bible talks about it. This is just my opinion. This is just a casual rant. So if you're one of the Christian critics, well, save your comment, save your breath. Because I'm not saying this is an absolute, and I'm not saying this is biblical. Again, this is just my opinion. And Chrome has gone on to explore the area down here. Okay, now as when it comes to the lukewarm, I believe the lukewarm people are the ones that are still inside the church, but they are not doing anything to build up their relationship with the Lord. So again, they can be placed in two categories. The lukewarm will either be those that are spit out, and when they're spit out, by that I mean they are the unwise virgins that are going to be left behind. But because they know enough about the Lord, enough about the Bible, when they're in the tribulation, they're going to get their relationship right, and they also know that they will have to become martyrs in order to get to heaven. Or the lukewarm are the people that are in church. They said the sinner's prayer, but their heart is not in it for the Lord. They are going to church for themselves. I've noticed in all the years that I've been going to church that there are two kinds of churchgoers. Those that are there to get to know the Lord, and those that are there to chat in the background during the sermon or during the worship ceremony. They're there to make an appearance. They have no desire to get to know the Lord, no desire to pray, no desire to read the Word, and they're just there mainly for the social side of things. Again, they're there for themselves. They're there for personal, selfish reasons, which means they become a goat. On the day of judgment, they'll say, "But Lord, I did this. I went to church. I went to prayer meetings. I made an appearance in church, and I did this and I did that for the church." And the Lord's just going to say, "But I never knew you. You never took the time to get to know me. You never prayed to me. You never talked to me. You just spent your time in church chattering with each other, distracting people in the background, and distracting people who really want to get to know the Lord." So again, the lukewarm also falls into two categories. The lazy Christians that know they should be doing something for the Lord, but they still love the Lord, but they're lazy. They don't want to read the Bible, and they don't want to take the time to pray, but they still want to get to know the Lord, but they're doing it on their own terms. So again, it is possible that their names are written in the Lamb's Book of Life, in which case, if it is, they're going to be left behind and go through the tribulation and have to prove their love for the Lord the hard way. Or the other group of lukewarm Christians are those that just make an appearance in church. They're not really there for anything other than what they can get out of it for themselves, in which case, when they are spit out, they're going to be left behind, and when the Antichrist comes to them and say, who do you choose? Do you choose the flesh? Are you going to take the mark of the beast? Or are you going to consider yourself a Christian, and thereby I will shoot you right now? Naturally, they're going to be thinking about themselves, so they will turn their back on the Lord, and then they will go into the world. So that's it. Backsliders and lukewarm, they're both pretty much the same thing, and either their names are in the Lamb's Book of Life, or their names are not. If their names are not in the Lamb's Book of Life, then naturally they're going to be spit out, and they're going to end up being left behind, and they're either going to be killed or they will take the mark of the beast. And the backsliders and the lukewarm, whose names are written in the Lamb's Book of Life, chances are they are both going to be left behind, and they will have to prove their love to the Lord the hard way. And that's by becoming a martyr, going into the internment camps and having their heads chopped off. But either way, anyone who is left behind, that is a believer, that does love the Lord, again, eventually they will be at the wedding ceremony. And even though they are lazy or backslidden, if they're in the tribulation and they love the Lord, going through the tribulation, they will end up becoming some of the strongest Christians that the world has ever seen. because they have to prove their love for the Lord the hard way, and that is through a time when Satan rules the world. So again, it's not up to me to say who is which, who is a backslider that has their name in the book of life or does not have the name in the book of life, or who is a lukewarm Christian that has their name in the book of life or that does not. I do not know anybody's heart. I do not know any Christian's heart. If I'm going to determine whether or not somebody is a serious Christian, I will listen to their conversation. I will listen to what they say and watch what they do. Because as the Lord says, by their fruits you will know them. So there's a lot of Christians I've noticed, or there are some Christians on Facebook that are really worldly. They swear, they tell dirty jokes, they post horoscope things, and they post worldly things, but they call themselves a Christian. So I cannot say for sure if their names are in the Lamb's Book of Life. What I can say, though, is that they are supposedly Christians, but they have one foot in the church, and they have one foot in the world. So it's not up to me to determine whether or not the Lord is going to leave them behind, so they can get into heaven, or whether they are not really Christian at all. They were just poser Christians, in which case they will be left behind and they will choose the ways of the world because they will not want to die for the Lord. So again, it's not up to me or any other Christian really to point the fingers and say you're going to hell or you're going to heaven or whatever, because there is no human being alive. It doesn't matter how strong a Christian they are. There is no human being alive that can look into the heart of the individual, that can look into the life of the individual, that can look into the mind, the thoughts, and the intents of the individual. Any Christian that proclaims themselves as being a judge is, I think, pretty arrogant. And if that's the case, I just wonder how humble they are. Again, by their fruits we will know them. We will know them by what they say and what they do, especially if they claim to be Christians. I just had a conversation on Facebook with someone about that. There are a number of Christians on Facebook and on YouTube who are date setting. And they like to say, oh, we're not date setting, because they don't set a specific day, but they will give a time frame. They will give a blanket window for when the Lord can possibly be here. And they try to justify the fact that they're not date setters by putting a question mark, something like spring rapture, question mark. Feast of the Trumpets, rapture, question mark. That way they can say, oh, no, I'm not date setting. I'm not setting a time frame, when in fact they are implying that the rapture could happen in that particular time frame. And whether or not the time frame is in a Jewish feast, which lasts a week or a number of days, they will imply that, oh, the rapture could happen here, but I'm not setting a date. But the rapture could happen here, but I'm not setting a date. And again, doing something like that, they are creating expectations in the weaker Christians, in the baby Christians, in the Christians that are naive and don't know, or in the Christians that are naively hopeful. So when that time frame comes along, those particular Christians are expecting and hoping that the rapture will happen. When it doesn't happen, those Christians get very disappointed, and it weakens their faith. So I don't buy into those Christians that are date setters or time frame setters. And I would really wonder if they really are Christian, because they know they're not supposed to be setting a date, and they know the words of the Lord that says Jesus will be here at a time when no one is expecting it. They seem to ignore that verse. So I am wondering if they really are Christians, naive, blind, hopeful Christians, or if they are non-Christians pretending to be Christians in order to cause disappointment, in order to cause discouragement. We don't know for sure. Only the Lord knows, and the Lord will sort everybody out on the day of the rapture. So that's that. Thanks for the topic, Rachel. Anything else you want me to talk about? I will do so. So that is my opinion on the backsliders and the lukewarm Christians. Some will be in the other camp. Some will be, I should say, between the backsliders and the lukewarm, you can divide them up between the sheep and the goats. The sheep backsliders and the sheep lukewarm will be left behind. They will go through the tribulation, and they know they will have to die for the Lord. The goat backsliders and the goat lukewarm will totally reject the Lord, and their names are not even in the Lamb's Book of Life. So that's that. Thanks for the topic, and thanks for listening to me ramble on. And if Chrome were around, I'd get him to say goodbye, but he's gone upstairs, and I think he's gone to go outside and look around. So anyway, that's that. We will see you at the Eastgate meetup. All you faithful subscribers and viewers that tune in to hear my ramblings. We will see you at the Eastgate meetup, or we will see you in Jesus' kingdom somewhere over there, or we will see you somewhere up in the air. Alrighty, take care, stay in prayer, and remember, Jesus rules.